I'll just share that onto the Twitter, and then we'll get started. Once it loads up.
We're live now, so getting going. Oh, yeah. Are you coming on the chat later, James, or is it going to be a late one for you and avoid the group chat?
Oh, I didn't even know you guys did that. Whatever you need me to do.
No, for Tad.
Yeah, I haven't done any of them yet. I usually just communicate with him directly. I kind of try to stay out of some of that stuff. I just,
Fair enough. Like I said, yeah, it's a late one for me. It's 1 o'clock in the morning for me, so I'll be sleeping bag and a pillow, just kind of paying attention that way.
Yeah, I did an interview early this morning, and then I'll be watching Yankee baseball, so I kind of feel like I'll be wiped out by the time later on comes. But I usually check it out after he records it and stuff.
So who did you do interview with?
Oh, what's that?
Who was your interview with?
Believe it or not, it was random. There was one with somebody who was doing a art report on me in college.
Right.
I knew kind of who they were. I'll even get random stuff like that around the country for whether it's kids or adults doing projects on me or different things. The interview that I posted today, which is around the same time we're doing something randomly, was done actually last week.
Right.
It's a pretty cool show called The Great American Collectors Show. And they're tied in with PSA and all the cards, and Rico Petrocelli, the Red Sox shortstop, Hall of Fame Red Sox shortstop. He's one of the guys that interviews you, and I'm gonna start doing some of the covers for that magazine, SMR magazine. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that.
No, I haven't. So I'm a junk wax era guy, and then I moved to Scotland, and then I really just started collecting the Project 2020 cards. And so I leave all the stuff to my friend who started a card shop. He kind of dragged me into this. And so I've really not really collected cards since about 91, and then kind of slowly getting back into it again. So now it's all changed, where it was I was all about, collecting as many of the cards you could, where now it's all about getting those PSA 10s and watching those things go off.
It's nuts. Yeah. This is their magazine. This was really for the big collectors of the PSA card. So I did an Acuna for the first time I'm doing this magazine cover. And so I was doing an interview for that other show, kind of about what we're doing here for the Negro League thing. So
right. Do you collect cards yourself?
I kind of do. I mean, I did a ton when I was younger. I've painted for obviously all the baseball card companies like Topps and Upper Deck, so I would collect my own. But I do buy. I'm a vintage guy, so I like buying a lot of vintage cards. And I'm collecting the 53 Top set right now, which I have a cool connection to. So I still will buy stuff like that.
Yeah, I was. Have you? Oh gosh, William from Pillbox. Have you chatted to him yet?
I have. Yeah. We talked last year. Yeah.
Yeah, he was pulling out items for us last night, and he was just like, I don't collect anything unless it's 100 years old.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I love their stuff. They got great items.
So, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, you actually worked on art and created cards to these companies, so it's kind of one of those things. It's is it a thrill for you to get your artwork on the cards, or is it become one of those things? It's a job now,
No, it's still a thrill. I mean, when I did it, the first cards I had ever painted were for Topps in 1999. So I was in college, and it was really one of the first time Topps was doing art cards in a really, really long time. And I did 10 out of the 20, and they looked like the 53 Topps cards, which was pretty cool. And it's still a very popular set now. And it was Griffey and Jeter and Piazza and guys like that, Tony Gwynn. Then I worked for Upper Deck in 2001, and this was pretty cool because when that had happened, I mean that was a thrill of a lifetime to open up packs and get my cards out of the packs. And then in 01 with Upper Deck, they put my name on the card, which I had no idea. So when I saw the samples, they put the Fiorentino collection on them. And that year I did every sport for them. So I did baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and golf. And the basketball ones were some of the cards were signed by Jordan, Kobe Bryant was in that set. The golf cards, that was the first Tiger Woods art card that was ever done. He had signed some cards in that set. So that was pretty amazing. And then I did 03 cards for Upper Deck, which were the old play ball looking cards. Right. So I did modern players and vintage players and like the play ball look. And I always held the box of my own cards. Like I never opened it, and they put my cards on top of the boxes and in the packs. And that was still a thrill. And the latest cards were for Kellogg's. So I did a lot of cards for the Kellogg's company that you would get in the stuff, like in the their crackers and cookies.
Yeah.
Which was kind of fun. And ironically, the latest cards I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be working on a really amazing set for Topps that I can't talk about yet, that I'm starting soon. So I'm pretty pumped. And now that my boys can kind of do all that, it's kind of fun. Do the boys enjoy the cards? Do you just get the cards now, let them rip them? Yeah. I'm starting to get them into it. And my whole thing is, I help coach baseball for them. They're 7 and 11. And what I always have done every year when I coach is I give a pack of baseball cards to the kids midway through. Right. And I give it to them at the end of the game. I say, guys, this is what we're out here for. It's to love the game, learn about it, make friends, open up these packs, go home, watch the ball game, learn how these guys are doing it. And that's what it's all about. Sometimes it gets a little lost and kids being so competitive that young, but I want them to be like, this is so cool. I'm getting a Trout. I'm getting this guy. And so I still love passing that on. So I'm going to ask you about this because we don't actually have this happen over here too often, is everything's being specialized. Do you see this more and more with the kids being younger and younger? Because we had one player whose dad played for the Mariners in like single A ball, blew his arm out, got his engineering degree, moved from Venezuela to Scotland. And then his son was quite the athlete. And then they ended up sending him to Florida at 15, and being that I was the only guy in Scotland, I don't know why he listened to me, not his dad. I mean, his dad's actual proper athlete. I was just some dude that played high school ball and tried to walk on at Oregon State. He would quite often message me and just go, my coach is trying to get me to just do one sport. And he was a junior champion in swimming as well. And so I was trying to encourage him to keep doing all the sports, or his coach was like, no, I really want you just to focus on baseball year round. So I'm just curious your thoughts on that. Yeah. I mean, I'm around a lot of former and current ball players, and they'll all say the same thing, which I felt like when I did. I grew up, I played baseball, football, and basketball. And all those sports really make you better in every sport. So like you could see even like today, you see guys like Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson. I mean, those guys were ball players. They're baseball players. And you could see that coming on the field when they're playing football. Plus, it also gives you like an advantage of muscles and your strength and all these different things you're doing. If you continue to do the same arm motions in baseball and hitting, you're going to like injure those muscles eventually. I think you really want to play every sport, and it takes the pressure off. And I think once you start getting a little older, maybe when you're getting closer to college in those last year or two and you want to maybe specialize more, I could see that, but you really want to try to play everything you can. It's just better for you. So yeah, unfortunately, like kids today, you'll see little kids just doing baseball all year round. It's like, I'm like, eventually, no matter how much you love it, that's got to get like boring or just kind of burn you out a little bit at some point when you get older. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's always that famous story about Tony Gwynn and how he ended up playing baseball at San Diego State. You know, he was in the talking to the basketball coach sitting there, and there was another recruit walked by and for baseball, and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe you have Tony Gwynn." And the baseball coach was, "Tony Gwynn, who? What? No, I don't know about him." And then he ended up talking him into playing baseball in there, and then he was just almost overlooked because he was spending most of his collegiate career playing basketball, and it would take him those few couple weeks to catch up with baseball. Yeah, it's so cool. Exactly. I mean, listen, I always tell you, if you're good, man. You're going to be seen when you're 15, 18, 20. If you're a stud, man, you'll be found. But yeah, I mean, that's why there are a lot of great athletes that play a couple sports, even when they get into college. But playing everything is just better all around and more fun. You get to learn every game. So, John, do you want to jump in and get us going here?
Yeah, let's get started. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us again for another night of Negro League Art Fundraiser interviews. I am John McKellar of Ball Caps and Bagpipes, a Scottish baseball podcast.
And I'm Jason Durr, Baseball Scotland Hall of Famer.
We're joined tonight by a fantastic artist who I have renamed, evidently. His real name is James Fiorentino. Say hi, James.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Thanks so much for coming on and joining us, James. It's a pleasure to speak with you. You guys have just spoken for quite a bit of time, and you've covered a little bit of what I normally ask our guests to start with, but let me go ahead and ask, and you can fill in the gaps. Please start by telling us about your baseball background growing up. Do you follow a particular team? And did you play growing up? If so, to what level, and what positions did you play?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always been art and sports, and really art and baseball. So growing up, probably like every kid loves baseball. I was starting to play when I was little, 7, 8 years old, and always loved even drawing at that age, and was taking private lessons when I was 8 years old, and I was literally painting again, like what was around me and what I love, which is really what I still do today. Played sports my whole life, like I was mentioning, through high school, baseball and basketball. When I was in high school, I played for Middlesex High School in New Jersey, and I was a first team All-State shortstop when I was a senior, and so I'm going into the high school sports Hall of Fame next year, which I'm pretty excited about.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's
I mean, huge congratulations on that one.
Are you gonna paint your own painting, go into the Hall of Fame?
Oh my God, right? I should, right? That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's great, and I'm also older now when you get those kind of things. But I really, I think more people knew me at some point in my life, especially younger, for sports than even the art, until I was about 15 for the art. But I ended up playing in college. I went to play at Drew University. I started all 4 years there. We had really great teams there, some great kids from all around the country. And, we got to go down to Florida in spring training. We played NAIA teams. We played teams that played at the University of Miami. So we were playing some good ball. And it was really, mainly about being with friends, still continue to play baseball. I knew I wasn't going to play professionally, but I was good enough to play in college. And it was wonderful. And at that time, it was an incredible thing, because that's when a lot of things were taken off nationally for my artwork. At the same time, I was, about to play baseball in college.
So hold on, John. So I know when I tried to walk out of Oregon State, the coach sat me down and said, "Look, I'm going to own you for 16 hours a day." Where did you find the time to do your artwork? Why balancing school?
Yeah, it was crazy because, I was an art major, a business minor. I was doing like a lot of national stuff. So at that, like, to fast forward to that point, like I was doing Cal Ripken Jr.'s official artwork when he broke Garrick's streak. So I was at both games, and I remember leaving college to go do that. I remember, Dick Schaap, the great Dick Schaap, interviewed me for ABC World News, and he had come to my home, and he came to Drew to record me. So it was weird because I was getting all this national attention, and then I had to do work, and then we're playing fall ball for the first time. I think the pressure was on me that people were starting to know who I was from that perspective. So all the teams we were playing were like, is that the kid who's painting all the guys and working for Ted Williams and painting for Cal? So it was a juggling act. And then I was, really paying my way through college, and I was painting in the dorm rooms, and I've got cool stories of like, getting woken up by Whitey Ford in the morning, and we're all, kind of hungover on a Sunday, and my roommate's throwing stuff at me. Who the hell's calling you at Sunday at 9 a.m.? And I'm talking to like Whitey, and I was doing a project with Al Leiter and the Mets at that time, the 99 Mets, and Al's calling me, leaving these crazy messages on my phone because he was so funny. He's the man. But a lot of like amazing college stories like that with players. But I like we were just talking about the Topps cards. I did in '99. I think it was a junior in college. I did 10 of the subset because I couldn't do all 20, and I had told Topps I don't think I could handle doing all of them at the time. So I did 10 of the paintings, but I distinctly remember doing them all in this like random studio I had at college. So.
That's awesome. Like I said, I can't imagine trying to balance all of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was fun, and that's someone I was talking to today was from Drew University, and I was saying, man, it's so long ago. I can't believe like all these things I had done at that time, and those ages are now like 20, 25 years ago, and but it was an amazing time to be able to play ball, and that was during the time of the Yankees winning, their first World Series in a long time, and Jeter being a rookie, and McGuire and Sosa. And I remember them going after each other. And so all these kind of cool things were happening while I was in school at that time.
So James, you're going through school at the time. You're a young guy, probably barely 20 years old. And you're obviously, you have these relationships with guys like Whitey Ford, Al Leiter. These well-known athletes. You're starting to get some national attention yourself. Did you ever turn to those guys and ask them for any advice? And if so, did they ever impart any that you found to be useful?
Like advice from all those ball players at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it even goes back earlier. So, I mean, to get to that point, it really started where the first player I'd ever met was Joe DiMaggio. And I had Joe DiMaggio sign a painting when I was 14. And that kind of kicked everything off. And I kind of realized at that time, like somebody had offered to buy the painting from me. And he was really nice to me. And I joke around saying he saw the Fiorentino last name and he saw this other Paisan there and said, okay, I'm going to be nice to this kid. And, you know, at 15, and actually kind of relating it to baseball, I remember when, you know, I've always been very good at marketing and really going after things and going after goals and dreams, all that cheesy cliche stuff. And I always say, like, if you want to do something, write a letter, pick up a phone, try to do whatever you can do, because you never know what's going to happen. So when I submitted my stuff to the Baseball Hall of Fame, I remember like years before that being there, maybe 12, 13 years old, and seeing like Warhol and Rockwell and all these paintings and saying, I want to have my work there. And I remember as a 15-year-old, I was coming back from American Legion baseball practice, and I got a letter or a call saying, we want you, Reggie Jackson, in the Hall of Fame to hang. So when that had happened and that painting got in there, you know, it was the first time in my life I was seeing people, it was induction weekend, taking thousands of pictures with my painting in the showcase with all of his stuff. And I go, whoa, this is pretty cool. And then people started picking up on it. I was at that time, like in Beckett magazines, getting stories and winning contests all around that 15, 16-year-old time. And I had met Yogi Berra. So Yogi became a good friend of mine at that time. And he invited me to his house. And he said, I said to him, I said, I would love for you to sign prints of mine. And at the time they were lithographs. And he invited me over. And I'm hanging out in Yogi's dining room. And then from that point on, I was always great with Yogi and donating my artwork and being involved in things that he was involved with. Right place at the right time, right around 16 years old, I'm at a show and I see the Ted Williams Museum set up. I show them my stuff. All of a sudden they say to me, well, how about this? How about you paint the 20 greatest hitters that Ted's choosing for his museum? And I'm like, holy crap, you know? Mm-hmm. So that year was a junior of my junior year in high school. I ended up painting the 20 greatest hitters that Ted chose. He came out with this book, this mathematical book on how he picked these players based on stats, which was kind of amazing. They were more home run type of hitters. I had never been on a plane before. My older sister and I flew to Orlando, went to Disney for the first time, and then I drove to Hernando, Florida to go see Ted Williams, and I'm hanging out with Ted, and I'm like, this is nuts. And we're talking baseball. We're talking about all the hitters, and he was like what people would say he was like he was very, almost reminded me of like John Wayne, and he's like, God damn it, this is great, and every guy you did, I've seen, this is perfect, and I never saw Shoeless Joe Jackson play, but damn it, you did it right. And so that year was the second year of the museum. I come back with my parents because I'm 17. I fly on the plane with them. And there were 50 Hall of Famers at this event. I sat the table next to me was Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams. I remember it was Jeff Bagwell's MVP year. And so it kind of relates to John, the story you asked me, because I remember being like, hey, Jeff, I kind of have my stance like you in high school. It's kind of like you and Bernie Williams. And he was like being nice to me. And he's like, you know, he was probably in his early 20s and I'm like 17 years old. And I remember like the original was on display. Everybody got a little reproduction that Ted signed of my artwork. My mom loved Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle growing up. Mantle was her hero. So she had called Mickey over to sign my painting. And Mickey, I think that year had maybe passed away later on that year or a year later. And I just remember him coming over and signing it. You know, every player had signed that original that was alive at the time, like Ralph Kiner and Frank Robinson, Schmidt, all these guys. So that was sort of the start of like me doing some of these real big events. And I was only that age. And then the Ripken thing was, again, right place at the right time. And that and the Ted Williams were 25 years ago this year, which is nuts. And you know, I was at both those games. I ended up being Cal's official artist. I'd gone down the games before that. I ended up being his artist when he ended the streak, which I could tell you guys later on, which was a cool story. But, you know, I was on the field the next day with CBS This Morning. And I did a big national interview with, I think it was John Miller, who called the game, and a collector. So it was this really being thrusted into all this national attention, New York Times, ESPN Baseball Magazine, which was a cool show back then, national shows. And from that point on, it took off. And then obviously that's when I went into college around then.
So at that age, you're a very young man at the time, and you're getting all this kind of national press. Does it ever become too much of a job for a guy at the age that you were at the time, and affect your enjoyment of the actual game itself? You know, you mentioned Cal Ripken Jr., you know, breaking the streak and stuff like that. Is there a part of you that can't enjoy these massive moments as much anymore now that you're working, essentially?
Back then, or you mean right now?
When you were that age in particular, but if you want to expand on that, then.
Yeah, no, I think it was super cool. It was probably a little more nerve-wracking back then. I started getting used to like doing like the live national shows, which was sometimes nerve-wracking, but you know, it was pretty cool. I mean, for me, honestly, I've always been pretty humble about what I do. I don't think it's a big deal. I've always been generous. I've always helped out people. I've helped out artists. I do whatever I can for anyone. I've always been that way. And I think everybody over the years knows that. And when they ask me, how do you know all these guys and how do you know so many people? Well, it's 25 years of being around them and donating and helping. And but no, I love the game. I really enjoyed it back then. I think, you know, if you're doing a show the next morning, it may be nerve-wracking, but it's very surreal. Like I almost don't remember a ton of that game. And I was at both of them. I remember Ripken hitting the home run because I was kind of sitting close. But I think back to all that and looking at pictures even now, and I'm like, man, I forgot that I did all this stuff because it has been so many things over the years. So I've been very blessed and very lucky, and I still get a ton of enjoyment out of it. I think where it probably became more pressure, honestly, was playing the game. Because like I said, what happened was, you know, I was coming out of high school. I was first team All-State. I made all conference my freshman year in college. I hit like 340, and everybody expected me probably to almost play like Cal Ripken. And I would joke and say, I paint these guys. I don't play like them. You know, I could throw in the low 80s. I had a really good arm. I could hit home runs 375, 400 feet if I got a good pitch. But, you know, I was talking with somebody yesterday who does lessons with my son, and he played professional. And he was saying like the difference, even with a guy who makes it to the minors and then makes it to the majors, consistency, how good they are every at bat and everything they do. So we all can do at certain times really good things, but can you do that every single time? Not miss a pitch, hit it perfectly, field perfectly, throw perfectly. You know, your guy throws 95 miles an hour, but maybe you're walking guys, or you put the pitch right over to play for a guy to cream. The guys who can hit spots. So that's what's amazing about it. And for me, I think as I was getting into college, there was a little more pressure that way. And then I was doing so many art event type of things. And so baseball probably took a little bit of, was probably like the second thing I was thinking about the most when I was there. But I love it. I love meeting these guys. I love talking to them. I would get advice from them when I was a kid, you know, from Ralph Kiner, Bobby Dorr, all these guys. It was just pretty amazing.
That's really awesome. I would have said to be able to pick those guys' brains for any kind of tips would have been awesome.
Yeah. Even today, if I see some guys, I've had some amazing experiences. Like I was saying, I've been blessed and lucky to be on the field for a lot of batting practices. So I've been seeing like Yankee batting practice for like the last 20 years, like on the field and around players. And I've developed some great relationships with guys and like Joe Torre and Tony La Russa, you know, had become a good friend of mine. And I was telling the story yesterday that, you know, I was really up close once with Tony La Russa when they were playing the Phillies here near me, near Philly. And it was like a day-night game type of thing. So they were hitting downstairs in the cages. And I was right up against the cage, me and La Russa and a couple guys. And in the cage was Pujols and Rick Ankiel. And seeing these guys take BP like from like 10 feet away, I've never seen balls exploding like that. How the bat speed and the power was just insane. And so I love seeing all that kind of stuff. To me, like I can appreciate it. It's just amazing, you know.
Cool. Well, let's talk about your artwork for the fundraiser. And so why don't you show off a couple of your pieces you may have done and let us know what you're actually doing for the fundraiser.
Yeah, so I'm totally honored and excited to be a part of this. And I've had a painting, which is behind me, that hung in the Baseball Hall of Fame and the Negro League Museum. And that was this Legends of the Negro Leagues had painted probably 15 years ago.
Right.
And I had Mays, Irvin, and Aaron sign it at the time. So that original I'm sort of promoting with this new, let me see if I can show you guys, this new Hank Aaron original. This is all my work done in watercolor, which is also very unique from an art standpoint. Mm-hmm. Most people think it's oil or acrylic, and that's sort of been my niche. But this is a new Aaron original. I don't know how good you guys are going to be able to see it, but
you see quite well, yeah.
You see it, quite perfectly, and it looks absolutely incredible, man.
Oh, thank you very much. So, I did a like this and a small Jackie Robinson sort of on deck piece, and I have some giclées of that. And I put on for fun a PSA 10 of my Jackie Robinson card I did for the upper deck that I'm donating all the money to the museum. And just really cool to be a part of it. I mean, obviously for me, probably how you guys were, I've always been, since I was little, into history and the history of baseball. So even when I was like 10 or 11, I wanted to know about Lou Gehrig and Charlie Gehringer and Babe Ruth. And I always wanted to know about Josh Gibson and Cool Papa Bell and Ray Dandridge. So I've always loved that, which is probably why I did that big painting years ago. So I love being able to support the museum, talk about the museum, talk about all the good things that are going on. And so it's an honor for me to be a part of it.
So with your work, you're going to go to the Hall of Fame and the Negro Hall of Fame and actually look at the original prints? Because I know they don't just kind of hand those out for you to do, or do you already have a print in mind that you work from?
When you start the artwork, the actual painting?
Yeah, when you start the artwork, because I know I've talked to a couple other artists and they're going, if I get a chance, I would go to the Hall of Fame and just look through their archive and be able to find prints that normally we get to see there. So.
Yeah, that is an unbelievable archive, which I've had the opportunity to go through, and I even had the opportunity to go in the basement, which is like the hollow ground of like getting a tour down there before. But yeah, reference material from places like that really help, obviously. And I think being like a baseball fan and a baseball, I don't know, what do you want to say, collector and all those things, really, I feel like I could pick out what I think guys really enjoy or people have never seen before. You're seeing black and white paintings I'm doing in watercolor where I'm just literally using black, sometimes a little white out of the tube. But yeah, a lot of good reference material like that. And, I am so busy, which is a good problem to have, that I didn't have time to do a lot. So I happened to just do this errand for a private signing when he signed it. But I did do one painting, that small Jackie, on purpose to kind of go along with what we're doing. But like, if anyone buys anything from me during that week, I'll be donating money from it. So there's certainly a lot of different things that they can get.
Cool. I mean, it's all exciting. I mean, I was looking at your store earlier and there's a lot of stuff in there. Like I need a bigger wallet just so I can afford some stuff.
Yeah, now there's I try to make it easy for people because, I've always said I've been lucky to charge. I try to make it easy where people can buy some of the originals if they're smaller, and I'll do that occasionally. I'll do like really miniature paintings so people can say, oh, wow, I can have an original of James's versus, some of the bigger paintings that could go for 5, 10, 15, 20,000. But most of the paintings are in the, $2,000 to $5,000 range. And then occasionally I'll do paintings that you can get for $200-$300 or $500. I'll put them out there quickly, or if I'm doing like a show or a signing and I want to give people stuff and get it out there. So, and the giclées, the high-end reproductions from the paintings are usually in the couple $100 range, which is kind of cool. But it's all about also promoting the education part of the museum and everything they do there and letting people learn about the history of the game.
But I know I said, man, look, there's definitely stuff that was affordable. So I was pretty excited. So I got to ask the wife if I can borrow the credit card for a little bit and see what I come up with.
I hear you. That sounds cool, man. You need anything, you let me know.
All right. John, do you want to ask your question here before we open the cards? And then I've got another question I'm going to ask before we do the cards as well. But I want you to go first.
Yeah, of course. Before I do, of course, I'll go to the live stream and the comments, just quickly give some mentions to some folk. Stephen Loudon, of course, has joined us. He says, good evening, guys, and says, he's watching A's and White Sox. It was looking good. Squeaky bum time. Tad says, hey, it's James Fiorentino. Cheers, mates. Tad, his name's Paul now. I've changed his name to Paul. Josh Trout says, I'm glad I'm not following up after Fiorentino's interview now. You guys will be let down. And Tapeport Breakers Club over here in Scotland says, man, that's so cool. You need to write a book with all these stories. So to that point, James, do you have any inkling toward writing a book about the stories that you've heard and grown up?
That's cool. By the way, those guys are great. And Josh does awesome work. I love all those guys. I'm really like, the more I see guys doing some great sports art, I love it. I collect it myself. But yeah, I do want to do a book. I've been approached a couple of times. It's funny. In the last couple of years, there's been like a lot of interesting things that have been brought my way. Stuff has not kind of fully developed yet, but we were even talking about that coming up because, right, there's so many. I think the difference is there's been so many stories and so many guys that have been around for the last 25 years. I've done personally been around. It's really, really cool and fun. And I would love sharing that with people. I mean, that's to me what it's all about. So hopefully that'll be something that I can do over the next few years and get all the stuff together.
That's brilliant, man. So we always like to finish with the same question to each of the artists that we've spoken to. And that is, as an American and as an artist and as a baseball fan, more importantly, what do the Negro Leagues mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it means to me that, it kind of relates to everything going on today, but, it's the mystery behind them and how unbelievable they were. And obviously it's, sad that they didn't get the opportunity to play when, they would have been some of the greatest ball players at that time. So that's why I feel like honoring them now, going back to research them and really talking about it and just really, sharing the education of how unbelievable they were and what great things they did and how great Babe Ruth and players thought that they were and knew that how good they were. To me, that's what it's about. I want to recognize them, and I'm honored to always do any kind of painting on those players. So
excellent. And just to finish up, how did you come to be involved in the fundraiser? Were you approached by Tad?
I wasn't. I was approached by a woman who's involved with Sabre and the Negro League, the Jerry Malloy Negro League Conference. And I've actually been a juror on that art show. They do a Negro League, I believe, art show that I had been a juror for. Some of the greatest Negro League paintings I'd ever seen in baseball paintings. And so she had contacted me and said, I want you to, get in touch with Tad, and this is what they're doing. And I was like, yeah, man, like anything to help raise awareness, raise some money. I'm all in. I think it's awesome. The 100th, anniversary celebration and just everything about the museum. And of course, because I've been involved with the museum, they own an original of mine. They had that painting on loan behind me for a year or two. And so it's very cool. And then you get to meet all these wonderful people that are involved and all the hard work that Tad's doing for this. Which has been a lot, and just getting that word out there for everybody and artists meeting each other and everybody helping each other out. To me, that's what it's all about, making great connections and doing what we can do to help.
Excellent, man. I'm going to send you over to Jason about two things. First off, Tim Gordon has commented, I really love that your work also covers wildlife and landscape too. And Tad has said, was that Leslie Heafy at Sabre? Heafy?
Yeah.
At Sabre. Yeah. She's been amazing to us, amazing in all block capitals. So massive props to her. And would you like to, before we open some cards, plug your social media channels and your website?
Yeah, I love people, seeing all my stuff and messaging me. But if you go to jamesfiorentino.com, you'll see all of my work on there. And then you could even go off to my other watercolors, which he mentioned, the wildlife, the nature, the everyday people, because I've painted presidents, Nobel Peace Prize winners, a lot of famous people beyond sports, and just my love of nature and wildlife. And then obviously like on Facebook and Instagram, you could find me, and I'll be sharing all this stuff. I love promoting all the new things I'm doing. And again, just people ask me for, for any help they need. And I always love responding and being involved in it.
Brilliant, man. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you, James. And let's open some baseball cards, Jason.
No, I've got a question first. So we were chatting about golf before we kicked this all off there, and you get to go to a lot of these celebrity and athlete tournaments. Is there a worse golfer than Charles Barkley out there that we don't know about?
You can definitely find some bad golfers out there, but I'll tell you, man, and you probably hear this. I mean, there's obviously these guys that play baseball. There's guys that like Smoltzy and Glavine, like those dudes are like unbelievable. But the hockey players tend to be some of the best golfers. And it's probably the swing they do in hockey. They bomb like, 350-yard drives and stuff. It's crazy. But, I love it when I can play better than some of these guys. It makes me feel good, if I had a better shot or something. But They could still play a lot of these dudes. So.
Right. So Paul O'Neill talks about his golf game a lot on Yankee broadcasts on Yes. Have you ever witnessed him play?
Which guy is that?
Paul O'Neill.
Oh yes, it's very funny. Yeah, it's very funny. It's a very humbling game. Jason and I were talking about that. I said there are times where I go out there, I'm like, damn, I'm playing good and I'm parring holes and I get a birdie and then I'll play. The next time it's like I've never played before. Ball went that way. I get an 8 on the hole. I'm like, damn, and then it just brings you back down. So it's a humbling game, but a fun game. But you gotta practice it a lot to get good.
Nice one.
Cool.
Right, let's open some cards in, Jason.
All right, so I have 7 packs of cards. You gotta choose which pack you want. And like I was saying, I'm a junk wax kind of guy. So I've got 89 Donruss.
Oh, nice.
We pulled a Griffey yesterday from it, so I don't know how many more Griffies you got in that one. So 90 Score, 91 Studio, which was those amazing studio picks, 92 Pinnacle, which have some pretty cool, interesting cards there. The 92 Donruss. And speaking of Cal Ripken Jr., he's got that Cal Ripken Jr. autograph in there somewhere.
Oh, nice.
93 Studio, or we can go with Big League Baseball, which is the modern one. So
I get to choose?
You get to choose, yeah.
I'll pick something random. I'll go with one of the studios because I remember those. They're like portrait pictures, I think,
yep.
right?
We'll go with it. So we'll go with the 91 Studio because that was the first set, and obviously they're amazing cards. Like it is, everyone seems to like these, so we'll go with them. Right. So if you want to talk about anything of the players, or if you've met any of the players, or share any stories, feel free, and we'll take it from there. So we'll start off with Scott Erickson.
That's great. Yeah, he was a stud pitcher.
So yeah, he likes golf and movies. His favorite TV show is Cheers.
Of course, is. Every one of them said that.
Cheers was big back in '91. Come on.
Cheers is my all-time favorite sitcom.
Burt Blylemon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he likes golf and country and western music, but he watches MASH. He doesn't watch Cheers.
MASH. That's great.
Not heard of this guy before, but I remember it. Steve Farr.
Yeah, I know his name.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we'll recognize this guy. Barry Bonds.
Oh, there you go. How about that?
Yeah,
I met Barry. I got to meet Barry a few times, and I can share this baseball story with you. I was sitting in one of the years where he was hitting like 5,000 home runs. He came to Yankee Stadium for the first time. They were doing the interleague where the Giants came.
Yeah, I remember him smashing one.
Yeah, there was a lefty pitcher for the Yankees, and he hit a bomb into the upper deck. I remember at this game, and it was just like unbelievable how far it went. I feel like it was like literally would have went out of the stadium, you know.
I remember that home run. Who was the pitcher? Was it Choate? Randy Choate?
It could have been some of that because I feel like it was a lefty facing.
Or maybe Chris Hammond actually. It was one of those two, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. We have Eric Davis.
Oh, yeah. Eric Davis and Darryl Strawberry coming out of Compton, I think, right?
Yeah, no, I read the book about Darryl Strawberry's high school baseball team. So I don't think they played the same high school, but it was interesting talk about the various players and how they were, they're supposedly the best high school team ever. So I'll have to find that later what it was called, but it was a really interesting book. They really didn't focus on Darryl that much. You can't not focus on Darryl, but they talked about the other players there. There was Chris Brown who played for the Giants and Padres, and he was apparently the better player.
Wow, yeah, he was a great player too. That's amazing.
All right, we got Bernard Gilkey.
I remember him, Cardinals.
Yeah, so his favorite TV show is The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Great show.
All right. Eric Anthony. I don't know where he's looking there, but in the distance.
He looks like his wife just caught him doing something he shouldn't have been.
He enjoys amusement parks and he watches In Living Color.
And Living Color is one of the greatest sketch shows of all time. Absolutely love that show.
Yeah,
Barry Bonds got it at one point.
All right, we've got Brian Holman of the Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
And his favorite TV show?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Of course it is.
Oh gosh. All right. We've got Bill Golickson.
Yeah, I don't remember him too much.
No, it's he enjoys fishing and he likes country western music. And then Juan Gonzalez.
Love Juan Gonzalez. Yeah.
What happened to Juan? Like he was doing really well for a while and just kind of just dropped off in the middle of nowhere.
Did he not get injured?
Was it injuries?
I think it was injuries that bit him. He looks older there than he did when I started watching baseball later. It's weird. He's done a bit of it, but that's what it is. He became too young for baseball. He's went back into nursery.
But his favorite TV show is Miami Vice.
Nice.
There we go. Anyways, James, thanks so much for coming on. It's been incredible chatting with you, and I love the stories. And thanks for opening up some baseball cards with us.
Thanks for having me on, man. I wish you guys all the best of luck. I think what you're doing is awesome. Keep it up. Anytime you guys need anything, and we'll talk off air, we'll get you guys some great guests too, and keep it up. And when everything gets good over here, you guys should come over here and do some great shows from some of the events that I do, and meet get some players on and do some cool stuff, man.
Well, you come to Scotland, we'll play some golf.
Oh, yeah. It won't be St. Andrews, but it'll be fun.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much for joining us, James. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And yeah, let's hook up again and let's do this sometime.
Awesome. Thanks,
in a more expanded setting. Thanks, man.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, James.
Thanks.